Tribu, and it's Wednesday once more. And that means that it's time for another episode of Straight Talk. I'm your host, Chito Lozada.
Today we were able to get an exclusive interview with the Department of Energy of Environment and Natural Resources Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loyzaga to talk about the DENR's initiatives and programs.
So without further ado, let's listen to this.
Let's watch this now.
Okay. Let's watch this video. Tribu, I'm Chito Lozada, and we're here on Straight Talk, the weekly show of the Daily Tribune. We're here with, as a special guest, Department of Environment and Natural Resources Secretary, Maria Antonia Loyzaga. How are you, ma'am?
Very good. Good morning, Chito. Good morning.
So, we're here in a separate area of the Daily Tribune because we have this is a special discussion. We're here to hear Secretary Loyzaga talk about programs of the DENR. Miss Secretary, what is the DENR now doing to ensure and prepare Filipinos for disaster and climate risk?
That's a good question, no, Chito? So, the first thing we did actually when we started at DNR was to assume what they call climate risk lens, no? For all the ecosystems and all the natural resources that we have in the country, including water. No? That was one of the very important resources. So what we've done is we've mapped out what we call risk and resilience potential now of these ecosystems and of the communities that are also there. No? So even our protected areas, for example, whether they're on the coast or in the inland, in the forest, we are all looking at this now and subjecting this to what we call a climate analysis, risk analysis. We have put together a national adaptation plan. Kasi po, in climate change, there are two dimensions. Mitigation, which is bringing down greenhouse gases through shifting to renewable energy, for example, and adaptation, which means how do you cope with the impacts and how do you build the capacity to actually anticipate so that you can avoid a disaster. So those national plans have already been completed. Of course, they will be updated regularly, but now we're localizing. So we need to bring it down to the local government units, and they need to do their own localized plans.
Localized plans.
Yes.
And to the local and the ordinary fishermen and other Filipinos, how would this affect them?
Okay, so the first thing we need to understand is where should we be in terms of our own national development. So the idea would be to ensure food, energy, water security. All those areas will be impacted by climate change. For food, of course, our agricultural systems, water sourcing, the kind of crops that we plant, whether they become drought resistant or flood resistant, because both are happening in our country. So may implication po yun on the kind of varieties of rice, for example, that we will begin to plant, and the kinds of other types of fruit crops, for example, that we need to invest in. No? On the part of the fisher community, we need to be aware that there needs to be some conservation effort in terms of our mangrove systems. Not only do these actually protect against the storm surges once we have the strong typhoons, but they also serve as spawning grounds for our fisheries. So those have dual and even triple use for climate change mitigation adaptation. Another use for our mangrove systems are what they call blue carbon. These are potentially part of the global carbon market, and eventually can be part of our own mitigation as well as our own adaptation, localized solutions for the fishing community. Warming waters will also have impacts on our fisheries. So we need to understand, and that's where cooperation with BIFAR, for example, is very important.
Considering the strong typhoons that we are now experiencing, would there be changes in the rules of the adaptation measures?
So under the adaptation plan, we looked at several hazards that are part of the climate change scenario for the Philippines. And among them, of course, sea level rise. No? So We need to understand how we're building, what we're building along the coastlines, and seeing whether these will be affected, in fact, by the gradual rise of sea levels, compounded, of course, by the tides. No, so we have the tidal problem as well. So that's one. We looked at heat and how our cities, our cities will actually be faring, but also how our agricultural systems will be faring. So there has been science that has been established. For example, because rice, of course, blooms at night. So the minimum temperature of the day is what you're looking at. For every 1 degree change of minimum temperature, it has been estimated there will be a 10% decrease in yield of rice. So we're watching that. For every 1 degree.
1 degree.
Okay, change in the minimum temperature. Okay, there will be approximately 10% decrease in the yield. So we're watching those temperatures. No, of course, this is part of my previous job. I'm not in agriculture now, but we are, of course, involved in agricultural systems because of the water irrigation. No? So in the case of water, the Water Resources Management Office is now put under the Department of Environment and Natural Resources by the President. So we work very closely with NIA, for example, to see whether NIA can work with us in terms of flood management, as well as in water management when it comes to drought. So there are those intersections. On the energy side, of course, we need cooling systems for our energy generation. No? So that also has to do with water and the availability of water for cooling. So marami pong implications. No?
That's true.
Yes, yes.
So, Secretary Loyzaga, can we get your parting statement regarding the DENR and how you resolve the problems that the Filipinos face?
Yeah, so I think what we need to understand is our dependence on ecosystems, no? On the different ecosystems, whether they be forest, whether they be coastal, and how those have direct impact, not just on livelihoods, but on the economy in general. So what I always try to share with everyone is that the economy doesn't own the environment. It's the environment that supports the economy. And so if we cannot get water, if we cannot get food, if we cannot secure our energy operations and sources, if we cannot draw on our minerals for construction and infrastructure, no, we will have serious problems in reaching our Philippine development goals. So the health of our ecosystems is actually underpinning the health of our economy and the resilience of our households.
So well said. The health of the ecosystem underpins the health of the economy.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mama Secretary Loyzaga.
This break is brought to you by Meralco, ang liwanag ng bukas. SM, we've got it all for you. Smart. Live more today. Union Bank. It starts with you.
Usapang OFW is the show that honors the journeys of our modern-day heroes, our OFWs. Join Chingmi Fernandez, John Dodson, and Rafi Ayang every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. to hear the real stories behind the sacrifices. Watch it live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Tribune now on YouTube, and Daily Tribune Official on TikTok.
Want to hear from thought leaders shaping our world? Straight Talk with Chito Lozada and Montelibano dives into leadership, politics, and business every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Catch conversation live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Tribune now on YouTube, and Daily Tribune Official on TikTok.
Ready for the hot takes of today's biggest issues? Hot Patatas with Vernon Velasco and Carl Magadia delivers the news that matters. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Tune in live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Tribune now on YouTube, and Daily Tribune Official on TikTok, where the real talk happens.
Utol, once just a colloquial term for a brother or sister. Today, the same term stands for a better option to your transportation needs. Unified Transport Operations League, or better known as UTOL, was established to give you an alternative to ride-hailing, with the concept of availing the service with care and compassion, as if it was rendered by your own sibling. Now, who would you prefer to drive you home? Uto, the ride-hailing app to consider.
Madaling sabihin mo negosyo, pero ang dami mong alalahanin dyan. Saan kukuha ng mga sangkap? Saan ang pwesto mo? Trabahante, lalo na, ano ang puhunan na gagamitin mo? Ang ating mga kababayan na nagsusumikap ang nangangailangan ng gabay at patnubay para mas handang harapin ang mga pagsubok ng pangangalakal. Ang Kaunlad Pinoy Party List ang tunay niyong kadamay. Kasama niyo kami sa pag-unlad. Bawat Pilipino, dapat may negosyo.
Kaunlad Pinoy Party List number 133.
So that was the interview with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Antonia Yulo Loyzaga. It was unfortunate that it was a very short interview.
Yeah, she was very much pressed for time. I don't blame her. I mean,
Yeah.
the Department of Environment and Natural Resources is
lot
a
of
whole slew of things that you have to take care
things to
of.
take care of.
I mean, you need somebody there with whose mind is very adept and who has a lot of energy to do what needs to be done.
And
But,
she's doing it behind the background, no? In the
Yeah,
background.
I don't think that she is very. Well, I think she's more of a technocrat, no. She's very much into, very much mentally into her job, DENR. But maybe we should just give her a brief, like a little backgrounder. She was appointed to the post by the president, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in July 1922, and she comes to the job with a lot of experience, with much experience, particularly in fields that is related, as I said, to her present preoccupation.
Okay.
Just to say something, no, about her background. She's Maria Antonia Yulo Loyzaga she was chairperson of the International Advisory Board of the Manila Observatory from 2007 until 2016. That is not a government. This is run by the Ateneo. She was also a technical advisor for the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation and a member of the Senior Advisory Board of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Command and General Staff College. Chairperson where she worked to advance more scientific research on climate and disaster resilience. While she was chairperson of the International Advisory Board of the Manila Observatory, she was also appointed to the Department of Science and Technology's Committee on Space Technology Applications and to the UNESCO National Commission's Committee on Science and Technology. She was president of the National Resilience Council, a science and technology-based public-private partnership aimed at the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Paris Climate Agreement. So, she was recognized for her contributions to the Philippine military's emergency disaster response operation during Typhoon Haiyan, which is
Ayan is Yolanda.
Yolanda. Okay. She holds an MA, a Masters of an MA in Government, International Relations from Georgetown University, and so she can trace back to the early 2000s. Her participating in a disaster management and poverty study. This avid passion for linking science-based research and data with decision-making policy and decision-making and policy formulation. So she has very much.
Yeah.
No wonder the president sought her out, no, for this position
For the
because
DENR.
she has a wealth of experience.
That's true.
That.
And
And I think that she has really an in-depth understanding of how the department, how her department should work, and so later on maybe we can cite some of her achievements, some of the major achievements that the DENR has, some achieved since he was appointed in July 2022.
Her experience reflects in one of her projects, one of her programs, I mean, which is the Geospatial Database Office.
Oh, okay.
Which is a hub for environmental data.
Yeah,
It's a collection of all the information regarding our natural resources, and
yes, okay.
that is a worthy progress.
Let me just kind of quote her on what she said about the DNR's establishment of the Geospatial Database Office under her stewardship. No? She said, we are learning how all the different parts of nature connect, which help us make better decisions about taking care of the environment. For the first time ever, we have created a catalog that lists all of our natural resources like land, forests, water, minerals, and air. Land, forests, water, minerals, and air, which allows us to follow smart rules to protect these resources while doing our jobs. Understanding these connections help us see how our projects affect the environment and track our progress since we started. We are also excited about supporting a new law that helps us keep track of our ecosystems in the future. We'll have better access to older and current data from space and use international AI, artificial intelligence, to predict how things will change. So she's really doing things for not only in terms of present concerns, but really, thinking about the future.
That's right, and she knows how to apply technology. Or during her term, technology is being applied.
Yes.
To improve the.
Well, I guess it really helps when you have a technical background and you're technically adept, no? You're technologically
AI.
adept. Yeah.
I'm wondering how AI.
I would imagine it
benefit.
would help any agency for that matter if used effectively.
Effectively.
Used properly and effectively.
Not the-
It's a pity it's only 6 years because she really has a lot of. So far, no, she this is half. This is midterm also for the administration, for the Marcos administration, and she has achieved so much.
That's
Not a lot of. Well, one thing about the secretary, my feeling is that she's a technocrat, okay, and her approach to the functions of her department and to how to resolve all these crises, all these challenges that are confronting the country and the Filipino people. I think I don't want to sound like an apologist or whatever, because I know she's also battered by a lot of challenges. From can you imagine you're in charge of mining, you're in charge of so you contend with
It's a department
mining practices which are not very
where you have to balance the growth, progress of the economy, and the need to
responsible mining, for instance,
to protect.
A tough job,
the environment.
and then at the same time you're in charge of preserving the land. And so you on one hand you have
Many interests will be
you have friends who are forest rangers, and on the other hand you have less than friendly land grabbers and illegal loggers, so and all very dangerous
I
enemies.
don't think even friendly in a little
It's
sense
tough.
of the
So I think
sense
that
of the word.
well, if you don't, I think we must have an appreciation for how difficult this job is, and we should support whoever is put in position to see that the function does its job. No? To see that the agency does its job. It's for us. I mean, Jesus Christ,
Pero she's a good fit.
who's going to inherit this environment? I
That's
mean,
true.
Philippine ecosystems.
It's our children and grandchildren who will
Exactly.
benefiting from that.
Well, she also has, turns out, she has secured national budget for the preservation of critically
Well,
endangered
yeah, that's
animals.
important. Yeah.
I think that they are going to launch this, this movement or this campaign to preserve the critically endangered animals, May 16, on the 16th of May.
And these critically endangered animals.
Yeah, what are animals? What are the critically endangered animals?
You can think
Yeah.
of the tamaraw, maybe, the Philippine eagle,
Yeah.
the Palawan cockatoo, the dugong. The dugong is yeah.
Dugong that's not endemic to us, no? Diba? And endangered marine turtles.
Turtles.
Yeah, I know. I have a friend who has done this in Negros. He has an island there which has given up for conservation, and it's a testing ground. It's
For
a
turtles?
nesting ground for marine turtles.
Are these the big turtles? Tortoises.
I don't know whether they're big or not. I've only seen one. It wasn't really big.
Housed.
But I guess, and also it's where it's a nesting, where eagles they nest. They go there to nest.
Uh-huh.
And
Philippine eagles.
Yeah. Oh. That's why in that island, it's called Denhugan in Negros. It's not, they invite visitors, but the visitors cannot be noisy. They cannot play rock music or hip hop music or whatever.
How big is this
Because it's
preservation?
Wow. It's a
huge,
it's kind of big
huge
island. It's a big island.
It's an island.
It's an island, yes. So the island is there, then Hugan, and then the waters around it is also what do you call this? It's also preserved. Yeah.
Protected.
You cannot spare
area.
fish there or something like that. And every year they have summer camps. They have marine camps. They invite children to come and learn
Have you
about.
been there?
I've been there several times. Beautiful island. Everybody should go to that place, Denhugan, I think it's in northern Negros. It's northern Negros, I think. It's near Sipalay.
But
Yeah.
you cannot stay overnight.
You can. You can stay overnight. But you cannot make noise. There's no air conditioning.
That's nearly impossible.
Because the hum of the air conditioners will disturb the fauna, the fauna around, the animals around there, the birds. And
Do you think that this should be developed? Ecotourism.
I think definitely, brother. I think that's one way that the DOT should concentrate really. Especially since the Philippines, the Philippines is really unique among all Asia, in Asia for our flora and fauna.
Flora and fauna.
Yeah. And also for our marine coastal areas. I have friends who have the first surfer in Siargao, actually, when Siargao was not known as a surfing capital, was the son of the Portuguese ambassador.
The first.
The first, yeah. Nobody in the Philippines knew what Siargao, or you could even spell what Siargao was. But then the first person who went there because he heard about the surfing was the son of the Portuguese ambassador way back in the 1960s. And in fact, the first person who put up a fantastic residence there was a Frenchman.
Well,
So
Siargao.
there's a lot about the Philippines that Filipinos don't know about, but the outside world, they've heard about us.
A lot of areas that aren't tapped yet. And
Yes. Well, I hope that,
those areas.
like I went to
many-
Siargao and nobody
many
knew
of
about
them.
Siargao.
Yeah.
I was probably among the first Filipino outside of Siargao to visit the Siargao. Oh my God! And when I first went there, that was during the time of Era Estrada. So we had this president impeachment court, and he was saying, "What am I doing here in the Philippines?" Anyway, So I was on a crossroads. I was thinking of leaving the country to go somewhere else. And then somebody invited me to go to Siargao to visit this resort of this Frenchman, Nicolas Rambeau.
What's
My
his name?
God.
Rambo?
Rambo, Rambea. Unfortunately, that guy died. He just passed away already. But when I first went there, boy, the mangroves were just fantastic. I mean, I've never seen this. It was virgin virtually. Wala pa itong mga Manila,
But you know,
Manila people went there. And,
I have some misgivings with the development.
but that's the reason already. We're
disturbs.
straying away from our topic. Can we just say some of our, mention, mention some of
Maybe
our
he
other.
has to wrap up, but see,
Okay, you know, okay, as
let's,
other than
let's take up one more topic.
other than the securing national budget for the preservation of critically endangered animals, since she came to office in July 2022, they have to date they have established 8 new DENR has established 8 new maritime science research stations, and again this came from her. She asked us to say on air her description of these maritime science research stations. These new stations will create greater domain awareness, increase our knowledge of our coastal and marine natural resources, and strengthen our understanding of the Philippines not just as a small country, but as a large blue nation.
Blue Nation is about the marine ecosystem, right?
Yes. They also have such a, I think also the economy. And also after a long time, the Philippines has rejoined the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. This will assist us in focusing on our efforts to rebuild our credibility as a global champion of biodiversity. You said something about the 10 million trees.
Yep.
What was that all about?
And this program is in partnership with the private sector, big business like the Ayalas and the SM Group, Prime Infra.
So this is really to the goal really is 10 million till 10 million trees in 3 years, no? In other words, up to the end of the term of Mr. Marcos.
Of Mr. Marcos.
Yeah. Which they aim to reforest 6 critical areas in the Philippines, and they've been able to gain commitments from the captains of Philippine business, namely a Boitis Group, the Ayala Group, the Lopez Group, MVP, Mr. Pangilinan, and SM Prime Infra. Fantastic.
Right.
And also in terms of water, are we wrapping up? No. One last.
Okay.
Let's say something about the water, because this is really my favorite.
So that's your parting shot.
Consolidation of all water-related agencies under one office.
Yeah, right.
Okay, would you like to read what you said?
Yeah. Where's that?
Down there.
Yeah, through the
Executive order.
Executive Order 22. For the first time in Philippine history, we now have a consolidated water resource sector, and it has established the Water Resources Management Office. So, DNR has mapped over 2,500 rivers in 421 river basins.
They've mapped 2,000
to over 2,500 rivers
rivers.
in 421 river basins, 550 lakes, and 435 dams. So there's they did this through a landmark agreements between the National Irrigation Authority and the Department of Public Works and Highways. So what's happening now is the use of idle water rights and the building and repurposing of infrastructure to serve multiple purposes and needs.
You know, this is a very, very crucial project. I think we should invite one of the geniuses in the
What's his
genius undersecretaries there in the
Yeah.
Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the son of Randy David,
Son of Randy
CP David.
CP.
He was the one in charge of this. He was he was the one who accomplished this for the DENR, the mapping of here.
Let's get him to
in
be
terms of water,
interviewed.
he's the water guru there in the DNR.
Water guru.
We should invite him to Straight Talk. No?
Okay.
Okay, so anyway,
So that's a wrap for today's episode of Straight Talk. We hope you found our conversation with DNR Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loyzaga enlightening. If you missed any part of today's discussion, don't worry. You can catch the full episode online anytime. And don't forget to join us again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. for more thought-provoking discussion right here on Straight Talk. Also catch reruns of Kalampag right after this episode on at 1 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. newscast with Tribune News on Q and Hot Patatas at 3 p.m. with Vernon Velasco and Carl Magadia.
Well, we invite you also to tune in to the Daily Tribune platforms to catch our special coverage of the conclave. It starts today, no? May 7. And we later will host Elmer Navarro Manuel and Reverend Father Edsel Ivan Ramos, Director of the Commission on Liturgy, Diocese of San Pablo.
So it's been a pleasure having you with us. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay inspired. I'm Chito Lozada.
I'm Teddy Montelibano, and this has been Straight Talk.
Ba't iba-iba ang distribution charge sa residential customers? Sa pagko-compute ng distribution rate para sa residential customers, sumusunod tayo sa tinatawag na socialized structure. Ibig sabihin, kung mas mababa ang konsumo, mas mababa din ang charge. Itong ganitong klaseng socialized structure ay ginawa ng gobyerno natin upang makaagapay naman yung mga kababayan natin na titipid o di naman kaya ay hindi kalakihan ang konsumo ng kuryente dahil limitado ang kanilang appliances sa bahay. Ang lifeline customers naman natin na 100 kilowatt hours and below, may kaukulang discount rin na nag-a-apply sa kabuang bill. So that includes of course yung distribution charge rin. Para sa ibang katanungan, ask Manong Joe lang. Hanggang sa muli mga katribo.